One minute, they're both looking out of the front door together, kind of watching the world go by, and then the next minute, Blossom may grab a toy, and Minnow thinks it's her toy, and so Minnow takes that toy. They can just kind of go back and forth with each other. It's kind of like they have a fun sibling rivalry at times. They always kind of make up with each other. They're two peas in a pod. She came to the shelter. I set her up in my office, and she was kind of terrified. She had no idea what was going on. So I brought her home, and at that moment, Blossom was immediately confident. Minnow led her over to her dog bed, and Blossom hopped on and just started getting comfortable, and she just seemed perfectly happy. It was like she knew she was home. At that point, Blossom really took a lot of comfort from Minnow. She was her safe person. Blossom would follow Minnow around, snuggle up to her, and they just kind of became best of buddies. I thought, oh, she needs to be a turkey, and she needs to be on a farm, and she needs to be with other turkey friends. She got really sad and depressed and just stood in one place, so she was there for all of 3 days. She just wanted to be at home, so I wound up bringing her back here. And then she jumped up on the couch and settled down, started watching TV with my dog and I, and share some pumpkin pie with us. So it was like, thank you, I'm home, that's all I need. We get up and hang out in the backyard. They like to poke around, and Blossom will look for bugs. Both of them like to eat grass. They both really love to go hiking. Being outside for both of them is their comfort. Then come home, snuggle on the couch together. Blossom, she's all about food.
I know, Minnow. She's stealing the burrito. Yeah, she's a burrito. It's okay, Minnow.
Minnow just is kind of waiting for her to come back and be her playmate.
You decided to move in on Blossom's nest. Yeah. You thinking of moving in? What do you think, Blossom?
Minnow and I were definitely family before Blossom came, but there was just this missing piece. Blossom was that. Having both of them has just taught me that love is universal.
I put my hand down and she more or less crawled onto it right away. I was working out in the garden. I turned round and I said, oh, there's a bee. And it wasn't till I picked her up and I kind of looked at her and I thought, you haven't any wings. And it was at that point I thought, how are you going to manage? So I gave her a wee sugary water. I had a heather plant in the garden and I kind of hid her in there, and I thought, well, she'll maybe get some nectar from the flowers. Basically, I thought, by the time I got home from work, I thought she would probably have crawled off. When I found her, I thought, okay, I'm really going to have to take you indoors and help you out. So I kept her in overnight.
She's obviously got a will to live.
They had said it might be this deformed wing virus. I couldn't let her go because the weather was so awful. I just felt that she was such a wee pet that, you know, she wasn't going to manage just very well on her own at all. And she needs my help. I went and stood in the garden centre and watched what the bees liked. So I got some bits and pieces together, made an indoor retreat for her. It was actually a birdhouse, and I filled it with sort of nesting material. So she went in and had a look, yeah, and she sort of cozied herself inside it. The realisation at that time was, right, I really have a responsibility for this wee creature now. I think that was probably a turning point for me. She just took to me right away. She would take drinks from my finger, she'd crawl all over me, she would snuggle into my hand and sleep.
Are we sleep now, are you? You say night-night to everybody? Night-night.
Yeah, if I put my hand up and she just went up and then she started just sitting on my nose. I don't think I really thought at that time that we were bonding in any way. I probably was surprised a wee bit at my own feelings for her.
clever, aren't you?
Emotions. I thought, I'm seeing things with Bee that I felt other people possibly wouldn't know or see. The fact that she was quite happy being in my presence was a big reward for me, and I think she definitely thrived with being with another living being. And of course I talked to her, as you do.
Oh, is that good? Clever girl. Lively. There you go.
She would just be neither hungry or thirsty, just happy to be with me. I could tell days before she stopped eating. She would drink, and I thought, this is it. She is really slowing down now. Because really, in Bee terms, she was a wee old lady. Just later and later into the evening, she just got slower and slower. She was in my hand, and she died that night. Her last wee leg moved, and that was her, away. Of course I was sad, but I think I was immensely proud that I had been able to give her a comfortable life and look after her. She's in the garden. Put her with one of her favourite heathers. I think she probably did teach me a lot about myself. Bees are terribly important to us, and I hope people will learn to live alongside them, that we respect them and we nurture and we care for all the wildlife that we have around us. I think that's our duty of care.